Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is MrHurriicane, and today I actually want to talk about Madden 21 a little bit. I haven't talked about the news regarding the game really outside of my live streams at all. I haven't made the same news videos that you've probably come to expect from previous versions of the game. I normally cover as much as I can outside of really Ultimate Team because I don't play it. But this year, obviously, with the lack of info regarding franchise, we probably have all seen the patch notes released for what's new in Madden 21. There really isn't anything, and that's why hashtag Fix Madden Franchise has become a thing. So I haven't really wanted to talk about the game a whole lot because I'm not that enthusiastic about Madden 21's release, and normally my expectations aren't super high to begin with, because franchise hasn't been the focus for a very long time. But obviously, with franchise comes the need for some solid AI and a gameplay foundation. And I do think there have been some solid gameplay improvements, but there have still been some sorely lacking areas I've wanted them to address. And the latest Gridiron notes that EA put out at least mentions some of the things that I have not liked about the game. So it remains to be seen, really, if the game is improved in these areas. I did not play the beta. I'm sure many of you got a chance to, but I did not play it myself. I want to go through some of these notes here that they talked about, and then, you know, when the game is available, EA Access, I imagine, is the first time after the beta. Without anything new in franchise to check out, I would like to spend time going through some areas of the game and see if they've gotten better. So the Gridiron notes are linked down below if you want to take a look yourself. But last year we did see them introduce some live playbook changes, which is a welcome addition to the game as teams unleash certain wrinkles throughout the season, and then Madden can have those added into the game later on through patches. And I think the most high-profile addition last year was the Taysom Hill playbook adjustments, so you could have a quarterback that could also line up at tight end, receiver, or running back, and I've been using this myself now in my Broncos franchise. So all the live content, I guess, from Madden 20, all those updates will make their way into 21. They'll have some changes for teams that have had some coaching changes, like Carolina and their new regime. And it appears that these live playbooks are going to be a main focus of theirs as the NFL season unfolds. We'll get into more of the interesting information, to me at least, here. Defensive adjustments to offensive motion system. That is quite the term. But basically, they've introduced the mechanic in the game that automatically matches your defensive alignment to the offense's strength. So when you have a 3-receiver set, 2 on one side, you make sure you have the 2 corners matched up with the 2 receivers. We used to have some really weird alignment issues in Madden that autoflip does take care of, and they're now introducing the ability for these adjustments to happen even when motion occurs. This will also happen when the play is flipped, so the defense will match the offense's strength even when the offense adapts to the line of scrimmage. Next up, pass coverage. This has been a huge concern of mine, and in the very beginning of this section, they mentioned bringing more balance to man coverage. By far, this is probably my greatest gameplay-oriented gripe with the game, is just how ineffective man coverage is, how it's almost useless against running backs and tight ends, and how off-man coverage almost has no shot of being successful. So they've made some improvements to the press-man interaction system so that there are more appropriate press-man animations that scale per the matchup of the defender's press rating versus the receiver's release rating. They have also tuned man coverage so receivers with a higher route run rating versus the defender's man coverage rating will have a slightly higher chance of winning on certain route cuts down the field. This doesn't really talk about overall spacing and reactions and the distance between players, which does kind of concern me because I think that's way more important than just the press. I feel that press, is pretty good in Madden 20. In my experiences, when you win your press matchup, you kind of win the entire route to an extent. And I don't know if they're really going to address my main concerns at all with this. but it seems that as far as the press interactions go, that'll be improved. I did think that needed some work. But if they really want to balance man coverage, it's all the stuff after the press. So we'll see. But I doubt it's anything like the man coverage we would have back like 10 years ago. It was much tighter and tougher to throw against it. The next section in this article goes over some of their general play tuning, basically making sure that left-handed and right-handed handoff animations have the same amount of time, and block sheds better time to match the point at which the ball carrier is out of the handoff animation and deciding which gap to run through. See, that description I don't really like, because that to me sounds like they're trying to force outcomes. I don't really have an issue with when block shedding occurs as long as it's rating based and there's some variance in there. I don't mind that sometimes a play is just not going to work because somebody dominated their matchup and they got into the backfield. In the next section, they mentioned they updated the animations for pre-play motion, which was definitely needed because pre-play motion, especially like the ones that are built into certain plays, just super slow. I hope they're sped up and make more sense. They've also updated the halfback slip screen plays so that the halfback can get a cleaner release and avoid traffic near the line of scrimmage. Every year it seems to go back and forth, like screens are OP or screens are terrible. I guess this is going to be a year where screens are pretty good again. This also mentions that they've added functionality for screen blockers to sometimes block a rusher in the inside gaps before releasing out for the screen so the QB has enough time to get the pass off versus heavy pressure. That's something I'd have to see in action. It sounds good, but I have to see it play out. They've also added some running back choice routes now, which is a cool addition if it works, but the choice routes that have existed in the game, I have not really liked. Even simple ones like a stick concept where the running back, or the tight end rather, can either run a quick hitch or like a 5-yard out route, and sometimes they don't get that right. They've also made it so that on wide receiver screens, such as the play action jailbreak screen, you can immediately get up the field after catching the football as the receiver, and the QBs can now get the ball out quicker, and they can abort the play action fakes like with RPOs. And yes, there is a play action jailbreak screen I added to the Broncos franchise, and I got sacked on it in like the last episode, or maybe the one before, because it just needs too much time. This next section here is really something I didn't expect. They didn't put anything really into franchise mode for this year, just a few fixes. So I really didn't expect much in terms of AI, because AI and franchise go hand in hand. A lot of us are playing many games against the computer, and that experience causes a lot of people to not really enjoy franchise mode. There are a few things in here I find really interesting. First, AI-controlled teams will mix up a more diverse set of pass concepts so they are less predictable and more aggressive. I do think that there are just a lot of recycled concepts that teams like to go to, and so opening up the playbook is obviously a big plus. They're also tuning the AI quarterback pass read progressions so they are more likely to throw to their best receiver in critical situations and or when there's not an obvious open receiver. That, to me, has potential. For instance, if it's third down, no one's really open, and they want to take a shot at whoever their number one receiver is. It depends on how they, code the logic there. What is a critical situation, and when do they do this? Because in general, just targeting your best players, just that simple logic alone will make the AI more fun to play against. But then I think about where this could go wrong. And what if a pass concept simply does not have that number one receiver running a very convenient route? Say it's like 3rd and 12 when the number one is really not running anything that's going to convert, and the AI is just kind of hardwired to target them regardless. That could cause some issues. One of the things here is they may introduce some cool ideas, but how do they support them going forward? Because rarely do they get it right on the first try. It mentions in here that AI quarterbacks will be more intelligent in making reads for RPO plays. I'm hoping that sometimes they will run it. I'm pretty sure they always throw the first read on an RPO play in Madden 20. On defense and goal line, the AI will call more dynamic plays, not always coming out in the perfect personnel package. I hope that overall they balance the goal line defense and not have just these insta-sheds every single time, and you just have to hope you get lucky if you're calling halfback dive against that goal line D. They've mentioned here that there have been updates to the AI for end of game and end of half scenarios. They will be taking note of data such as the current score, quarter, play clock, and remaining timeouts when deciding what to do, and they'll get better at using their timeouts like a user would. They will have a greater sense of awareness of current game conditions when deciding to go for it or kicking on fourth downs. And when the game is on the line and the AI needs to score, quarterbacks will be aggressive in throwing into coverage and utilizing mismatches. What this doesn't really talk about are like utilizing the sideline and plays that can specifically get you there. There's not a lot that the AI's ever done to manage that side of the game, but there are some things here that could make that whole experience a lot better, because the last 2 minutes are really, really bad for the AI in general. They've also added some adaptive AI and AI quarterback updates. And we haven't seen this in many years in Madden, but now the AI quarterbacks can audible. And it looks like they're going to be focusing on just audibling to pass concepts that are ideal for attacking certain coverages. I have a couple questions now about this. How do they know always? What if I'm disguising? There are a couple 2-deep safety calls where you're playing cover 3. If they know I'm calling cover 3, what's the point of hiding it? I'm also wondering, are they only audibling when they're throwing? What if they come out and I'm just like not stacking the box at all? Can they call inside zone and just get a quick 4 or 5 yards? It says here that this logic will begin to take place after repeated defensive play calls, and typically in a game I only call a few, because only a few I even trust. Cover 3 and cover 6, my 2 coverages. The AI quarterbacks are much better equipped to deal with all-out blitz plays, and in some situations will change the protection by keeping the halfback or tight end in the pass block. Now, if that means the tight end's one-on-one with an edge rusher, he's better off going to run a route. I'd rather see him chip or be part of a double team. It mentions that when facing pressure, AI quarterbacks play more true to their style of play. Scrambling quarterbacks will look to run with the football, and a pocket passer will look to throw the ball away more when feeling under pressure, or even take those one-on-one shots down the field to favorable matchups. The AI does not take enough shots. Just throw the ball down the field. Just take a few shots a game. That's all I ask. Last section here, AI ball carrier updates. AI-controlled halfbacks are more decisive in their decision to pick a running lane. That's a good thing. They have more organic behavior in the open field. The AI quarterback will look to protect themselves and the ball in a realistic way by sliding in the open field or running out of bounds. I'm not sure I've ever seen an AI quarterback really go out of bounds, or at least like run with intention and then try to go out of bounds at the end of a play. So that's basically all the info in here I wanted to talk about. There are some good things. Gameplay rarely takes huge leaps from one year to the next, but I do think that if done well, some of these AI changes, just simply affecting tendencies, can have a great effect if the AI is better at being aggressive and is smarter with their aggressive decisions. And if you have to think about perhaps those shots downfield and protecting against those with safety over the top. Just those little things within the game can definitely make an impact when you're talking about playing against the computer and trying to get a dynamic experience. I hope they did a good job on these features, because without anything new in Franchise, all there really is to separate it from Madden 20 are gameplay features. So we'll just have to see. When I can play the game, I'll be very interested in testing out man coverage especially, and then getting to see this quarterback AI, playing against different quarterbacks, seeing how different they play. Is the scrambling logic good? How about the shots downfield, the audibling possibilities? It's always a wait and see deal here in the off season that this basically is. I don't know if I'll talk about any more Madden 21 news. I'm not sure if there's much for me to really discuss. Obviously, franchise was empty, and I'm not really interested in Face of the Franchise or that new mode that was leaked. But gameplay was still on my mind, and I was surprised even to see AI addressed, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. As far as my plans on the channel, I've talked about the Madden 20 Broncos franchise continuing, and I plan to keep that going. I'm not excited about the franchise mode in Madden 21, so I think Broncos is going to be continuing now for quite a while. And as far as anything else inside a franchise, I think I'd have to see some tremendous gameplay improvement to do other things within franchise. I'd have to really see them take some steps with these features that I talked about from the article today. But I'm still looking at some older games. I'd love to decide on a game to maybe do a create a team cupcake franchise. I think that would be a fun new experience that would be fresh. And that's what I'm looking for right now in franchise. Something fresh, something new, new challenges. I went through a few games over the weekend. I know we played Madden 07 in a stream last week, and I was kind of liking some of the features that were there, and they built upon it in Madden 08. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe Madden 09. I've been told you can import plays from Head Coach 09. I know everybody would want the waddle fade there. But that's where I'm at. If they want to talk about something regarding franchise, I'll listen. I think there are a lot of ways the game could get better simply in patch updates, even without brand new features or major feature expansion, but they'd have to really show that they're committed to that. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for different ways to make franchise fun in whatever game I think delivers the best experiences. So that's all I got for today, everybody. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave your feedback down below. Let me know what you think of this news. What do you think can make the greatest difference? And as far as, what I've been talking about with these older games, if you got any feedback, I haven't played these games in a long time. Leave it down below. I'll catch you in the next one, everybody. Have a great day.